Welcome to the Wednesday, February 1st, 2023 electronic meeting of the Cable Communications Commission. This meeting is being held remotely, and we intend to conduct this meeting similarly to an in-person meeting. Public comment will be via telephone only. To speak during any of the public comment opportunities, please call 1-877-853-5247 or 1-888-788-0099 and enter meeting ID number 530-745-4665. This information is also available on the published agenda in the public notices section of the City of Ann Arbor website.
Now we'll do roll call, and to comply with the Open Meetings Act, if each one of you, when I call your name, could just say the city and state that you're calling from. Tony Ramirez.
Here, Ann Arbor.
Carol Dunitz.
Here, Ann Arbor, Michigan.
David Pittman. Not here. Tom Wright.
Here, Saline, Michigan.
Bonnie Gabowitz.
Here in Pittsfield, Michigan.
And Zach Damon. Here we go. Sorry, all I see that David is trying to join us. Hello, David. I promoted you to panelist. I'm sorry, you are sitting in the attendee slot. If you're able to confirm your attendance and start your video. Okay, let's see. Well, okay. I believe we got that. So we'll see if David can join us and speak as soon as he's able to. There he is. Hi, David. I'm sorry you were in the attendee. We have a little snafu, multiple things going on today. So I'm learning as we go. So we finally were able to promote you to panelist and you are in attendance. Can you say where you're calling in from for the Open Meetings Act?
Yes, good afternoon. David Pittman in Ann Arbor, Michigan.
Thank you so much. Okay, Tom, we can keep moving through the agenda now. Roll call is complete.
Okay. Should I move to public commentary then?
No, let's get approval of the agenda.
Oh, okay.
First, if someone could first and second that.
I make a motion to approve the agenda for today.
Anyone second?
I
I'm
second
second.
it.
Second.
Thank you. And then the approval of the November 2nd meeting minutes.
I move to approve the November 2nd meeting minutes.
I second that motion.
Thank you. And now into public commentary.
All right.
And now you can read that, Tom, please.
Perfect. This is an opportunity for persons to speak for up to 3 minutes. To participate, please call 206-337-0099 9723 or 213-338-8477. Toll free and enter meeting ID 922-8058-3983. This information is also displayed on the meeting agenda. City staff will select callers that have raised their hand one by one using the last 3 digits of your phone number. In order to electronically raise your hand to indicate that you desire to speak, please press *9 on your phone. You will hear an automated announcement that the host is allowing you to speak. When speaking, please move to a quiet area and mute any television or background sounds so that we may hear you clearly. Please state your name and address.
We'll give it a minute. I am not seeing anyone joining the meeting yet, so we'll just wait a little bit to see if anyone joins who wants to participate in the public comment. No one is joining, so perhaps we could move to the CTN report. And if anyone does join at a later time, we can move back to allowing for public comment. Greg?
Okay, so this is the report for October through December of 2022. And in our activity highlights, we continue our coverage of the city meetings, both in Zoom and the combo hybrid meetings that are in person as well as in Zoom. We covered the Mayor's Green Fair, which this year took place in the fall. Normally, or previously, it always took place in June, but this year they moved it to the fall. We did some candidates' comments during election season. We began producing a new program, sort of a small, short, more like PSA program called Park Peak with the Parks Department. It's to highlight different parks around the city. So we're basically producing some video showing different amenities of the different parks so that they can help promote them around the community. We held our annual Santa satellite call-in program. We have started doing facility tours again. And we had a couple with the Boy Scouts. We have a couple more coming up. And we resumed producing our program with the Ann Arbor Film Festival called Let's Watch with the Ann Arbor Film Festival, which is to help promote the upcoming one that's coming, I think it's next month because it's now February. Then we have our programming numbers, which are pretty much on track as they've been, which all of our city meetings and the in-house productions that we've been producing. On the public side, we've had 138 programs premiere. We also had 138 programs submitted, which is kind of unusual that both those numbers match. But our public producers completed 8 programs, so that's going up again from previous quarter. There were 31 equipment reservations. There was only 1 edit suite reservation this time, but that sometimes gets, we have the laptops that they check out that I believe is falling under the portable equipment reservation. So not as many people are coming in to use the edit suite in-house at this point. It fluctuates right now. Then we had a lot of 23 hotline studio reservations. So there are a lot of people are making use of the hotline studio, and then a couple in the main studio as well. There were some trainings with for editing, the field equipment, and the hotline studio. And then our educational channel had 79 programs premiere, including we started our Throwback Thursdays with our classic sort of sports programs. We also have a new program that started from Washington Community College called Launch with WCC. It's a program that they're producing themselves right now. We will help them if they need it. But it's to help promote things that are going on around the community college. And then our video on demand hits are right in line with as they've been. Mostly it's council meetings that seem to take up the top spots. But we also had a couple of PSAs that we produced recently, the Ann Arbor tree removal and the updated recycling codes, which people are interested in seeing those. And that is the report. If anybody has any questions.
Greg, I was just curious about the Park Peak program, I think you
Yes.
mentioned. Is there a schedule for which parks you guys have covered and which ones you plan to feature in the next years?
There isn't really a schedule so much as the Parks Department are leading us through this. So they've been giving us a list of the parks that they'd like us to go out and get
Sure.
footage of, which also include facilities, which we've had some discussion about what counts as a park versus like a pool or things like that. But so there isn't really a set schedule to it, but we're just trying to follow what they ask us.
How many, which parks have you guys been able to feature so far?
You know what? I don't know off the top of my head which ones we've done, but I can get a list to you.
That'd be great. That'd be awesome. That sounds like really interested program.
It's been
Thank-
kind of a rough time of the year to feature the beauty of our parks.
Yeah, yeah.
So we're kind of struggling a little bit with a lag and, this time of year and doing indoors. So it's not probably as
The
many
beauty.
as we would like, and it will
Sure.
start probably more quickly when the leaves come.
That's always been the sort of the trouble is deciding, do you go and shoot a park to show what it looks like in the winter
Right.
and how it can be used versus, or do you wait until it's spring or summer?
Absolutely. Great resource. Thank you.
Thank you. Tom?
Yes. You mentioned about groups asking about tours. Funny you should mention that. I've had some groups contact me about touring CTN here in from Washtenaw County. They look at CTN as a great resource. I, however, am simply a cable commissioner, and I want to connect them with the right people so that as that happens, you all start dialogue in the city of Ann Arbor and I stay out of it. Because you guys do a great job. However, I will never speak for CTN or the city of Ann Arbor. That's not my role.
Okay.
Should I connect them to you and Melissa, or how would you like me to do?
Melissa typically schedules them. So you could send them on to her and she'll figure out the scheduling for those. And it's usually Jamie, our trainer, who's been conducting them.
Oh, good. She does a great job. All right. I had one come up today. So I will send that off and then I'm going to bow out and leave it to you all to take care of it.
Okay, sounds good.
For our regular business, I just had, the only thing that I had on the agenda was to discuss the process that we're at with our fiscal year 2024, 2025 budget, which is currently underway. fiscal year 2024 begins on July 1st, 2023, and ends July 30th of 2024. City council members can only adopt one fiscal year at a time, even though the city plans for multi-year budgets. The communication CTM budget is still being finalized, and it will be included in the city administrator's draft budget to city council in April. But based on my conversations with finance to date, we will be able to balance our expenditures and revenue, and we will not have any service reductions planned for the next 2 years, which is great news. So during the next few months, we'll finalize, as well, in addition to that, in the next few months, we're also going to be finalizing our lease extension with Oxford. So our current lease expires in August of this year. And so we are now underway to renew that for our 5-year extension, which does not go to city council. It's an administrative renewal that was based into the lease. And that also is going to be included in our next fiscal year budget. Right now we have a standard 3% increase in our base rent, which is standard. And we're able to accommodate that within our current expenditures and revenue. So that is it on the budget aspect of it. But I also wanted to turn things over to Greg so that he could update you on any capital expenditures and needs that CTN has coming down the pike, either the end of this year or in the next fiscal year, and what kind of equipment needs we'll have and expenditures of that nature. So Greg.
Sure. So something I just realized I didn't have in our report was at the end of December, we had new cameras installed in our city council chambers production system, which we actually had purchased. It took a while to get all of them in. We started purchasing them last spring. It took quite a while to get all of them. And we just got those all put in at the end of December. So that sort of dovetails into the next sort of large capital type purchase that we would be doing, would be replacing that production system, the actual TriCaster system that runs that. That's the oldest one that we have of all the ones that we use, and it gets a lot of use. As you might be aware, it's used multiple times a week typically. So it's aging out, and it's going to be time to replace pretty soon. The sooner probably the better, but it might not be until the next fiscal year, which would be in July. In the meantime, what we're looking at doing for the next 6 months or so is replacing some of the smaller pieces of equipment. And one of the things that came up recently is the cameras that we loan out to the public. So those we have had for quite a while. They're a little bit past their due date, you could say. So we're starting to look around at replacing those, and then getting some additional accessory equipment to go along with them, and to offer some other services by getting new audio equipment, microphones, and stuff like that. Down the road into the next year, beyond the council chamber system, we would probably be looking at the system in our production truck, because that's probably the second oldest of the 3 or 4 that we have. And that one too gets frequent use certain times a year, but overall it's not used every month really. So it's been able to last for a while, but it is one that we will be looking to update. And then after that one gets done, or probably in similar close to a time frame, we have the production system in our hotline studio, as well as in the basement conference room at City Hall. They use the same system there, and we'll be looking at replacing both of those with newer systems. And then anytime we get these systems, because we're looking at replacing something that's roughly 8 to 10 years old, it's basically a computer. The newer one can do things usually better and can usually do more. So it often ends up where we're replacing other things at the same time in order to take advantage of new features. And so that's can cause one project to become a little bit bigger than it might be, but at the same time, it might make things easier for us to do some of the things we're being asked to do. Farther down the road, or hopefully farther, would be the production truck itself, which we will need to replace that at some point down the road. Probably not too far out, as I think it's at least 20 years old now, but it doesn't get driven every day or every week, so it still has some life in it. But when we do replace that, I expect we will be looking at something more environmentally friendly, and probably a little bit smaller than what we currently have. And that would also be true with our vehicles that the staff uses to go around town to do their different projects. Those are also getting up in age. I think they're approaching 15 years roughly. So we'll probably be looking to replace those. Again, it'll probably be something a little more greener than what we currently have. That's some of that decision making will be driven by city requirements for what we can get.
Those are big expenditures.
Well, they never seem to end. So it's sort of one rolls into the next. The other things, some of the things I didn't even think about were I'm also looking at updating or upgrading the editing systems that our staff uses. Last year, we got new laptops for the public to check out, and now it's time to look at what we can do for our staff members and improve their sort of work conditions when they're editing and some of the other software that they're using. And then we also, at the end, last half of last year, we did get a couple of new cameras for them to use. So that's why now we're looking at cameras for the public, and it's sort of a never-ending cycle.
Beside the production truck, what's the remaining vehicle fleet lineup for CTN?
We have a van, a Transit Connect van that we use when we go out on. Typically, it's used most often when they do truck productions to help carry the crew and equipment. And then we have a Ford Escape that's more for those smaller things, but also to carry people around.
Is that sufficient, or what's your take on the needs there?
Both vehicles work well. But I would expect we will replace both of them. It would probably depend on what kind of options we had going forward. If we have to get something, I'm expecting we'll have to get something that's electric, and then it's what's the capacity of the vehicle in terms of how much, the type of how much equipment could we fit in it, and how many bodies could go in it. So when we do multiple camera productions, you're taking a bunch of people out somewhere.
Thanks,
right.
Greg.
And of course, this is not set in stone because we have to be flexible. Even just today, we had to have a HVAC guy come out because our front office heat was not working. And something like that would impact some of our purchasing if we had to purchase a whole new unit.
As well as
so
supply
far, we do
chain
not.
issues.
Doesn't the landlord cover those kinds of things?
For our
Not in our
lease.
building.
Yeah, our lease requires us to have a maintenance agreement for our HVAC system, which we do. So we have a contractor that comes out to fix the HVAC if and when needed. I think we're on to commission comments, Tom, if anyone had any items that they wanted to share yourself.
I just thought I think our next meeting probably be in the spring. We could do an outdoor meeting. I never met no one that you have now, as far as, it'd be nice to meet each other because through instead of Zoom. We have a picnic table, sit back, have a meeting. I don't know. It's up to everybody, but I mean, it'd be nice to have something like that.
Maybe a meet and greet, Tony,
Yeah, you go.
because we'll still have to meet virtually unless we change things, but yeah, maybe a meet and greet.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Tom.
I just want to compliment the CTN staff and the City of Ann Arbor staff that during the pandemic, they kept everything operational. It has not been an easy task. And I think everybody at CTN has done a fabulous job. So thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have anything else that anyone wanted to know? Or our next meeting, thank you, Tony, is May 3rd at 4 p.m.
Be spring.
So definitely will be
Springtime.
in spring. If I have someone to recommend adjournment and a second,
I recommend adjournment.
I'll second that.
Carol, was that Carol or I looked down, I didn't, it was Bonnie?
Yeah, Bonnie.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, I was looking down. Okay, we
And
are
I'd like to
adjourned.
thank our board members for being dedicated and being here today. You all are needed.
Yes, thank you all.
Okay,
Have a nice evening.
You also.
okay. Bye.
You too.
As well. Take
Thank
care.
you.